Hello and welcome to another episode of R&R's Ask the Expert. I'm Kayla McGowan, Editor-in-Chief, and today, obviously, you can see my special guest, Leighton Healey. He is the CEO of KnowHow, and we've been chatting recently about some great partnerships and just the evolution of KnowHow. And one question that kind of popped into mind was, one, who is KnowHow? And two, what's your mission? Have you ever shared it? And, I think it will make sense to people as to why you guys work the way you guys work. So let's kind of start with that. Who is really KnowHow at the foundation? And then go to your mission so that people can really understand what role you guys are working to play and why it's so important for people to partner with people like yourselves.
Well, first off, thanks for having a conversation about it. And you asked me, we were going back and forth, and you said, have you ever shared this mission? I said, with my team all the time.
Yeah.
And but I don't know if we've ever taken it to the market and said, I come from the school of thought that vision that's where we're going, and mission is how we're going to get there.
Yeah.
And from a mission perspective, our mission is it's easy to state, but you have to unpack it.
Yeah.
Right? It's a bit of an iceberg. Because our mission is to help our clients deliver what they promise through confident workers. And I can get into that, but KnowHow, our focus is to be, in many ways, the evolution of the operations manual, the person on your team that you just can't hire anymore, who knows everything, knows the why behind everything, and then just kind of, let's call it the repository of all of those, well, it depends, kind of situational questions in the industry. And how do you create a self-sufficient, independent, confident worker who is out there wearing your logo, and they feel like they can confidently step into any situation and navigate the unknown and come out the other side having delivered on the company's promises.
Yeah.
And so today, we're an app that's on the phone of thousands of restoration companies. And we're very pleased to just be a trusted partner for a lot of the leading brands. And what we fundamentally believe at KnowHow is that, through all the change that's being brought in with AI and all the change that's being brought in with software, is that fundamentally companies still need to be able to deliver what they promise.
Yeah.
They need to be able to look across the table at a national partner, at a homeowner, at a business, at a managed repair program partner, and be able to say, you can count on me. We will do it the way that you've asked us to do it. Yeah. And I believe it is a difficult time to keep your promises.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of good logistical, tactical, practical reasons why we could explain why we weren't able to keep our promise.
Yeah.
Cost, labor, dynamics in the market, and we could probably even make a case to have our lawyers fight it out about why we were justified to not deliver our promise.
Yeah.
But I think that companies that can deliver what they promise, they can do what they said they're going to do, because we specialize in companies where leadership and decisions are often centralized, but execution is distributed across typically multiple locations.
Yeah. And
so when that leader or that senior team member makes a commitment on behalf of the brand, in franchising they refer to it as brand promise.
Yeah.
And so when they make a commitment on behalf of the brand, that they can know confidently that anyone who's out there wearing the logo is going to be able to deliver on that promise. And so our focus is, how do we make that not only possible, but how do we make that normative for our clients? And how do you do that at a time when things are changing so much? We just talked about how we had a Harvard Business Review author in last night talking about change and how to navigate change. Because when things change, staff ask, well, how will that change what I do? How will that change the process? Where do I go to see that change? Will anyone even know if I got on board with that change? So we're very passionate about, how do you help these teams to be able to deliver what they promise through workers that can confidently walk onto any site and say, even in the changing dynamics of the work in this wild industry, right? I can know that there is in fact a source of truth for how the company expects me to do my job, so I can go home. We like to say, maybe physically tired, but not mentally exhausted. You know? So we really care about that know-how, and I could probably have said that a lot more concisely by just simply saying at know-how, our mission is to help our customers deliver what they promise through confident workforces.
Well, I'm going to bring up a statistic that I haven't shared with you just yet, or really the industry, if I'm being quite honest.
Okay.
So recently we held a poll in our newsletter on our website, and we posted it on LinkedIn. And the question really was around, what's one of your biggest pain points, right? 4 different options. And the top option across all 3 of them, roughly 76% of people who responded said finding qualified technicians.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a problem.
And
76%?
76%, which they are the backbone of what we do, which just solidifies everything you just said, right? You're still delivering on the promise, but you're providing a safe space for people to learn at their own pace, but also use what you have internally to answer those questions and train them efficiently and effectively. And I think another thing that we talked about earlier was, you know, people are a little scared of AI or technology, and some people are embracing it, but I think people don't really understand the layers of it, and there's a tasteful way to implement it into your business. And you guys are able to do the heavy lifting and things like that. And so, you know, you can use it to your advantage, and then of course solve that 76% of the problem. And that's
a big problem. It's a problem that I believe that, I know because we are helping companies solve that problem. And, you know, 4 years ago, we pioneered, we've all become familiar with these terms, language models and generative AI and some of those elements of AI. And so now we are bringing out the next layer of our strategy, where we're layering on top of that our agentic focus. And so if a person says, well, what is this agentic AI? Agentic AI is in many ways AI that now does tasks for you, so to speak. And so, the AI that many of us are familiar with is a tool that can, let's say, come alongside me and enhance what I wrote, or give me options of, how I can respond, or, put that person back in that photo. But now we're seeing the rise of AI that can do things for you. And so what does that mean? Is that typically a person who's having a difficult time finding, staff that are able to, effectively come in and do the work and learn the job. Well, we've also done the studies, as you know. We did a study several years ago, Why Workers Quit. The largest workforce study, understanding why is it so difficult to retain workers in this industry. And one of the most common reasons stated anonymously by hundreds of technicians, why do people quit? Is they say, honestly, if my job was just like putting Mrs. Smith's house back together, that's very fulfilling. What I don't like is just like the tedious work that changes based on which role I'm in, changes which project manager I have. It's just, it's the grind in the gears that is just, why is it so hard for me just to be able to find out easily, like, so how many hours do I have to show up before, when do I call? And because it's this job, it's just, it's so mentally fatiguing that a lot of people don't stick around. And so I think for many of us, we've become accustomed to just relying too much on a couple people in our team that are a combination of like the skill, the experience, but also just the willingness to just repeat and repeat and repeat. And those people are going away. They're just beginning to kind of
age out, retire, life happens. Some of them we are actually losing, which is so unfortunate. But I think one thing that you mentioned right now is it almost makes you stay in this little bubble, opposed to you ever really truly growing your business, but also growing the industry. It's much bigger than just beyond your business. But I'm gonna bring something up just because I spotted it. Is you guys did a rebrand. And we talked about the importance of what your team played in that role. And this is what you guys did is no different than what the restorers should be doing in the involvement of their team. One, they feel appreciated and that they provide value to your business. But 2, they understand, but they're also able to ask questions that maybe yourself wouldn't have asked, or Travis or whoever. And this is where you get to, right? I think it looks really slick, if I'm being quite honest. That's my marketing side of my brain.
Well, I'll take that and pass it to the marketing team. They did a great job.
And so what was that process like for your team, and how do you feel like it made you grow? And the reason why I'm asking you this question is because it sounds simple, right? Oh, rebrand, no big deal. To somebody looking from the outside in that doesn't really understand, how your customers portray it, how your team portrays it, what it really means, what was the reason behind? I mean, the behavioral science side of things, like we talked about. So what was that process like for you? And then the second part of that would be, what do you hope our audience learns on your behalf of doing that?
Well, I think that everybody who's been involved in building a company from the ground up, you become surprisingly sentimental about certain things, and you have a great marketing mind, and you've got a great mind for behavioral science, and it's funny, but we become very attached and very, I would say, sentimental, like I said, to let's call it, so many things change when you're building something.
Yeah.
And there are very few things that are quite static and really those unmovable components of what you're building. And typically your logo, your branding, it's a bit of your personality, and it becomes in many ways kind of the one, in a sense, ball that doesn't roll around on the table constantly.
Yeah.
And so as we moved from one significant technological revolution, which was all of our agentic investments, all of our language model investments, to now beginning to take and build upon the knowledge environments that our clients have worked so hard to establish, and now build that agentic layer on top to empower them to really bring to life their playbooks in a manner that I don't think anyone thought was possible. We recognized that we have to also go through a bit of a transformation, and so hey, there are many members of the team that they deserve the praise, and we have a creative design lead, and we have marketers that are very passionate about not just the look of KnowHow, but how we communicate the stories that we care about. And then internally, one of the things we value is like many, we value ownership thinking, and we define that as just an ability to do some of those unseen and kind of sometimes thankless tasks.
Yeah. And
part of that is just the work of curating and pruning and maintaining how we show up in the market, and how we show up in different customers in their businesses as a product that's on their phones. So underneath it all, we said, I think that this is an opportunity for not only for our technology to evolve, but even just for our bit of our visual identity to also evolve.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we went from kind of one shade of teal to a different shade of teal, but we really had a vision for the entire organization to kind of, in a sense, move to that next state, as we try to always be on the leading edge for our customers. And so I'd like to say that it was just something that a week before this conversation, someone just like plugged something into Claude, and this is what it spit out. But this has been, I don't know, maybe a 7 or 8 month journey.
It's a process.
Yeah, and back and forth, and when you're asking people to describe, it's sometimes you don't even have words to say. It's not that you don't like the font, it's just it doesn't have the same homey feeling. And I've learned about art, that with art there is something about just this, the subjectivity of just looking at it and saying it just doesn't feel right. And KnowHow is a brand that means a lot to a lot of people nowadays. And so we had to involve a lot of stakeholders in how they felt that the refresh would make them feel and connect to what we're doing. And so after a lot of hard work and a lot of flexing one of our core values, which is we value healthy communication, and we express that through what we call candor, and we think that the healthiest, most productive conversation style is being assertive. And so a lot of assertive, candid discussions, we came out the other side, I would say, really with arms locked around kind of a new visual identity. Yeah. And it comes along with a continued commitment to our mission to help our customers deliver what they promise through workforces that, as long as they are on site, rocking that logo, and they've got that company's AI playbook, they're confident.
Yeah.
And that's our mission. But to be able to do that as we evolve as a technology to make sure our customers are really on the cutting edge of this whole agentic movement. So it's a really exciting time for us.
Yeah, and I would say you mentioned all the variables and the time. I think that really stuck out to me, and I think a lot of times when we're in the hustle and bustle of the industry, and we talked about this, the industry is changing drastically and it's changing rather quickly. Sometimes our first instinct as people and even business owners is, oh my gosh, we have to change now. But to your point, there's a process, and you need the involvement. You need your team to challenge you at times, and so that you never stray away from your mission, right? Or your core values or whatever is behind the reason why you do what you do, right? Not everybody has core values, quote unquote, right? So, but everybody has a mission statement, right? And I think, what does that look like? Ask your team, ask the questions, but also open them up to challenge you, because I think obviously, to your point, 7 to 8 months, like to your point, you can't just like throw that in there and say, hey, do this for me magically and this is what it is, team. No, you were talked about even down to the font, right? Right. Well, it's 2 words. You know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we have some very we're a very talented team, and talented people typically have strong opinions. And I have strong opinions, right? And we're very our one of our core values is passion for the problems that we solve, the problems of our customers and the problems that our stakeholders are working to tackle. And at the end of the day, we have a very passionate team. And so with that passion comes, it's kind of like, years ago, I was fortunate to run a really large home and commercial painting company. And, color is an interesting thing, right? It evokes
very much so.
It evokes a lot. And particularly when you have individuals who, sometimes you would bump into someone who was, perhaps, giving a refresh to maybe their grandmother's house or whatnot. And they try to describe to you kind of a color or sometimes a feeling that a memory would evoke. And it's a very personal experience. Color is very interesting. And I think that in many ways, logos and brands and stuff like that can be similar. There's a way to approach it. I think it's very mechanical and removes and detaches your team from it. I don't know when this is going to go live, but yesterday, the branding refresh went live through the miracle of an amazing team. Our team is quite distributed, so we have team members all over. And through the miracle of very capable hands on my team, every one of my team members is going to receive a very attractive package, and they're going to open it up, and it's going to have all their new swag, and it's going to have the refreshed value cards. And a big part of KnowHow is very present in the peripherals as you do your work. We have kind of a bunch of rituals around how the values invade your airspace, and so it's as much as we're catering for the practical logistics. What's our hex code and yada yada. Really, what we're trying to navigate is the emotions that are in many ways the rocket fuel, the power, like the quality of work we're after. You cannot derail those emotions. In fact, you need to enhance and amplify those emotions, because at the end of the day, when you're trying to do something important and something significant, you don't get there without passion. And people are not whimsical with their passion. Like, people choose, they're very selective with their passion. And one of the things that I have different responsibilities, but my prime responsibility is to create the ingredients and the environment for my team to do their best work. And I take that very seriously.
And I would say, I know we went a completely different route than we usually do, right? But I think it plays a very important role in what we do, because change is scary.
Change can be scary.
It can be scary, but I think what you just said in the nutshell is it doesn't have to be, right? It can be very tasteful and very intentional. I think that's the other thing, is very intentional, but the whole experience isn't even over for your team. They still have yet to receive the package. And
Yeah.
right, and you said this best earlier, you know, they are essentially a customer, but they're the heartbeat of what you do, right? And if they're radiating that off of them, the chances of your customers feeling that is amplified again, right? Because to your point, your team, yes, is out there wearing your logo, and you know they have their playbook, but your customers in the field can actually feel whether you love your job or you're just doing it just to get by. And I think that's another behavioral side of things, but that's something that I think we do need to focus on with the changes only increasing. I don't think they're going to slow down anytime soon. I think you guys are way ahead of that as well. But I really just, you know, that one conversation that we had, I was really wanting to share with the industry, like who you guys are, what's your mission, why do you do the things that you do? And I mean, you explained you guys are working on things so that the industry doesn't really have to try and figure it out. Your team is figuring it out. So thank you for sharing all of the ins and outs of KnowHow. It's always a pleasure. And for all of you watching, we will see you on the next episode of Ask the Expert. Take care.